made, and so we're going to try to get the second half started. People who come to my events know that you can't get away without a few announcements. I'm going to try to not do them all at once. I'll do some now and some in a little while. But of course, there's stuff coming up that we want you to know about. One thing is that because the bookstore is closing, and one of the things that is really great about Cover to Cover Books and that I really love about Mel is her support for local and Northwest writers. The counter is surrounded with, it's all around the counter is books by Northwest writers, and there's a great big collection of poetry chapbooks in the poetry section over by the restrooms, and if those books don't sell before they close, they're going to go back to the authors, or they may come to me to return to the authors in some way. And so since we're really encouraging people over the next 2 months to do some Christmas shopping here and to help the store and say thank you to the store by clearing out as much of their inventory as possible, I bet if you went over there you would find a chapbook by one of the poets you've seen here at Ghost Town that you really like. So that's my suggestion for one small way to say thank you to Mel and Mark. There's plenty of them over there. Some of the people in the books that are over there are sitting here with us tonight. Let's see. Oh, in January there will be 2 events at the library. There's going to be this Stafford reading and National Unpublished Writers Day, which was passed on to me by John Barber. He started the event, and I think he always had an evil plan to pass it on to me, and he will be there with us that day, but it's now sort of in my hands. I believe the dates on that are the 14th and the 31st, but I would encourage people that are not already on my newsletter to get on so you can get that info. Also, this is the time of year that I have to ask people to check out if you think you might be interested in taking a writing class. I'll be teaching memoir writing class, 2 memoir writing classes at Clark College, also a poetry writing class there, 2 sort of Saturday workshops, including one for teens, so if you have teens that might be interested, you could send them over there, and that's all on Clark's continuing ed, the continuing ed part of clark.edu, and then I'll be teaching one class at Multnomah Art Center, and I'm really happy about that relationship because that's a great place, great community center, and the writing part of it is sort of run, those activities are run by Judith Pullman, who's a Portland area writer who some of you might be familiar with. So looking forward to that. So yeah, I might mention 1 or 2 things later, but those are a couple things I wanted you to know about. And the main thing is be here on January 8th for our potluck and clear out as many of these books as you can before the end of January. Oh yeah, one more thing. Tony and I have Printed Matter Vancouver, which has published 3 books so far, and 2 of those were 2 volumes of the Ghost Town Poetry Anthology, and we've just published our first short story. It's by Jack Loringer, the very talented husband of Lori Loringer, who's here with us tonight.
I do in fact have a very talented husband.
Yes, he's a very talented glassblower, but it turns out he's also a very talented fiction writer, and this is his debut story, so as Serenity in the Brutal Garden, we published Jenny Power's debut book of poetry. We're proud to publish Jack's first story, and we hope that he'll continue doing that. It's a really cool story called Flight of the Drones, so we brought some little flyers about that in case you might be interested, and it is formatted for your Kindle, so there's information here about how to find that. Did you want to say something about it?
After he read the book on writing by
Stephen King?
Christy Cruz.
Oh, Christy Cruz.
Was that after you read that book?
Oh, I thought that was hers was called something else.
This is the first story I've ever known him to write.
Well, Christy's certainly a friend of this series, and many of her students have also been my students, and also she's been a feature here. I think that Christy and I have an affinity or a similar way of sort of approaching being poets in the world and trying to help other poets too. So yeah, she's really a big part of the Ghost Town family.
Certainly inspired me. That book.
So these will be over on the table if you're interested in maybe getting that story. Oh, I didn't even say the name of it. It's called Flight of the Drones. It's a very imaginative story about some of the places we might be headed with this whole drone thing. Okay, so back to the open mic. And speaking of which, the first for our second half will be Lori Loringer. Woo!
And I'm delighted to be going before Mike G and not after him. So. All right, this is a poem I actually just wrote today. So here we go. It's called Genesis. In the beginning, there were nightmares. The same sequence repeated, played out again and again on those delicate, fresh features, a slight smile, a grimace, a clear frown, a squeal of distress, awakening disoriented out here, where there is endless input, bright light, cold and hunger, the feeling of falling when those little arms flail and find no boundaries. The waking came with a someone there to give warmth and food, to snuggle the flailing arms into confined certainty, dimming the light, condensing the sphere of input into a love bubble. On the 70th day, there was a new dream, a dream of nourishment and fulfillment, repeated again and again with every sleeping, played out on that relaxed baby face, a slight smile, a quivering chin, a gentle suckling of tender lips around the tiny tip of flicking tongue, a clear grin of satisfaction fading to endless contentment, and the someones, still there, looked down and saw that it was good. Woo! We'll begin with Genesis. That's the first. Since it's, sacrilege was sort of theme. Okay, and this is a poem that I found today and had totally forgotten about while I was looking for something else, which in fact I had already found and was already out where I could have found it easily had I not been looking for it. But I thought this was appropriate because this is one that I wrote a year, so it was January 2008, a year in this space, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's called A Year's Progression in the Free Speech Zone, Thursday, January 10th, 2008. Impressive cat, lots of nooks and crannies, always a good sign. Cute girl making coffee, the place is full of books, and there's a corral for unruly boys. Writer-type proprietor, supports freedom of expression in an age of oppression, shows no fear of children, and no desire to censor us. Damn, that's a big cat. Cute girl speaks up and becomes smart cute girl. Cat shrinks by half and gains a new meow tone. Proprietor has a name and always remembers mine. Thanks, Mel, for taking us in and feeding our spirits in the spirit of free speech. And thank you again.
I remember that one.
I forgot about it, so I read it properly.
Well, I just had an idea, because it was our actual 10-year anniversary last month. I read a poem that was also inspired by the series, so maybe if you could help me spread the word, people that have been coming for a while, maybe we should encourage people to bring those next month, the poems that were either about the series or just came out of things that happened here. So yeah, help me spread the word, guys. And speaking of that, one of our regulars, one of our loved ones from the other side of the river. It's so hard to get people from the other side of the river, and he's loyal when other things like a job don't get in the way, and always exciting to hear what he has to say. Mike G.
Good to be back here, and I'll just say thank you, Mel. Some of the best times of my life the last 3 years, I've been here.
Awesome.
Don't make me cry.
Right back at you.
Over the years, the animal that shows up in my poems is usually the squirrel. And my friends know that when the squirrel shows up in my work, it means that I'm basically okay dealing with the grave and constant and human suffering in a centered way. So I'm okay, because here's my most recent squirrel poem. Watching the squirrels prepare for winter, I like to think they've never known the despair of not enough nuts for children or lovers, or the sting of confusion of not knowing what to do, as they dart and climb and their now is all we have lives. Their gods being sunshine and rain in each other, their play and their work looking the same. I like how they go on when their friends die, patting the ground with little hands that go on, securing nuts for a never secure joy called tomorrow. I like how they scamper the bark of trees in morning and make their teasing little ha-ha round we go sounds as if the world were theirs, and well beyond what we call grief. I like it when they make love in the walls with noisy squirrel ecstasy, perfect as they are, making more. I like to think of them when other thoughts hurt, how they don't seem to need scripture or poems, how they don't seem to need the everything that I need, the words that I need, the made-up worlds that I need, this stage that I need, how noble they stand regarding me with what I think is pity or perhaps just curious as to how I lost my way. That's one for the squirrels. Keep me centered. I cast the old poems to the past and make the new. Poems that don't swell and shrink with grief or weep like little girls cursing a Santa Claus who forgot. No poems trembling like lovers amid candles and incense in perfect rooms long evaporated as all good memories do. No anthropomorphized animals or rocks or elements or weather, and especially no talk or swooning over the moon or proselytizing for the truth that it was built by aliens or future us just because. No cosmological hijinks or feeble-dribbled gospels over 105 no more. No more words copulating at sunset or singing of loneliness and what it means. No poems about yawn holes yapping about money or which limited intelligence to vote for this time. No ranting about God's abundant mistakes or how battleships and bombers should all be painted pink. Nothing about evolutionary mishaps and mysterious origins. No more tarot readings pretending to be poems, and above all, no more attempted wisdom poems, dull and moralizing. Hieronymus Bosch is dead. Nothing supernatural yanking blue ribbons from the best of what is human. Nothing about mom and dad not doing their best, poor fucking things, learning to be parents with nothing but their parents' example. No more poems about booze or smokes illuminating our minds in very dark times. No more pissed off screeds about lovers who let us down, for in the here and now of love, it's almighty as anything. No more testaments to sadness or stewing in juices or wondering what went wrong poems when the bow broke and we came crashing into this vast experience with our yes and our genitals and our frustrated greatness. No more competitive, comparative devaluation of any other being. The grass is green for all of us. The grass is green and sparkling. No more pain, 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 pain poems, throbbing in rage like bad teeth. Let's forgive the worst things for being worse things and everything else for being less than what we craved when we craved. The human center still flames crazy. There's contact to be made. Everyone radiating their own light, everyone finger puppeting their own shadows, and even God deserves compassion like an asteroid without a friend, cast in the lonely outer holiness of space, the 10-year-old neighbor girl says. Finally, no more lamentations over the graveyard of language poems, just the epistemology of our hearts jackhammering to the same flesh and vein song, just a noise, a happy noise, our noise, a celebration. Thanks.
I can see that you're ready to go. I switched the order just a tiny bit, so hang in there. Okay? Are you good?
Yeah.
One more and then you guys. Okay. And we're going to hear from Herb Stokes next. Thank you, Herb. Hi, Miss Herb.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
And happy birthday to you. This is entitled Gone. Gone like rain upon a summer walk, exploding gently out of view, and images in running chalk of blue. Like moments in a faded frame, the laughing face that no one knew, the chase for money and for fame that quietly went askew. Like whispers sent to parts unknown and buried seeds that never grew. Like history, like ashes blown, like you.
Hey, I feel like I've been sort of around the perimeter this evening, so it's nice to see you all. And apologize for the delay in my arrival. However, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that I got here in time to hear both of our features. Next, we are going to have some excitement here. Are you ready? Bryce and Matt, come on down.
Okay, so I'm Bryce, that's Matt. Of course. So we're a band called Kilo. A little band, you know, started. Kind of just came up with the name a few moments ago. So, just want to apologize in advance if we sound bad when we practice at lunch. So, this shall be interesting. So, ready? Yep. You want to say something?
This is my fiddle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Without it, it is useless. Without me, oh, I goofed that up. You get the point.
That was You Know You're Right by Nirvana, covered by Kilo.
Thank you all very much. I love those guys. Woo, cool.
That's him.
My son's name is Matt, and one of his best friends is Bryce.
Really? Okay. Do they play music?
No.
Oh, okay. Next, we're going to hear from Bruce Hall. Bruce, come on up.
Got a couple of mine, short ones, and then I'll read one that we can dedicate to our musicians. This first one is called The Color of Evil. The rainbow is the color of evil, complete with all its hues. False warmth, red turning to magenta. Evil tricks with teal, then bashes with blue. Twisting to purple, purple is royal. Remember the horrors of royal. Black, the total lack of color, the only place evil cannot hide. Oh, and I wrote both of these, and Chris didn't mention his class. I guess you're still gonna be doing that, the works?
Huh?
Your class, the works?
Yeah, the one at Niche, yes.
Yes.
Still happening. Second
Good.
Saturday of the month.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's really well worth it, so
Thank
check that out. Okay, this one's called Frequency of Love. In the daylight, love, soulmates, souls intertwine. Clouds darken the day, night sucks away the light. Hands unclasped, separate. Memories, haunting ghosts, fade. Walk, crawl, is there a path? Sharp pointy rocks, knees bleed. Wind shoves, bites. Branches grab, thistles scratch. Waves, waves crest, fall, press. The frequency of love, sucked into a black hole, never to be seen again. And this one, the young guys may not know what this is, but I'm sure everybody else will. I found this little book. It was published in '62. It came from Clayton Valley High School in Concord, California. Cindy Giamond writes, good. Okay. Picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies. Somebody calls you. You answer quite slowly. A girl with kaleidoscope eyes. Cellophane flowers of yellow and green towering over your head. Look for the girl with the sun in her eyes, and she's gone. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Follow her down to a bridge by a fountain where rocking horse people eat marshmallow pies. Everyone smiles as you drift past the flowers that grow so incredibly high. Newspaper taxis appear on the shore, waiting to take you away. Climb in the back with your head in the clouds, and you're gone. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Picture yourself on a train in a station with plasticine porters with looking glass ties. Suddenly someone is there at the turnstile, the girl with kaleidoscope eyes.
Okay, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We're gonna hear from a dear friend we haven't seen in a little while. Nice to see her again, Jennifer Pratt-Walter. Come on up. Well, hello. I'm in a choir that practices Thursdays, but we didn't have to practice tonight. So I'm Jennifer, and I'm very happy to be here. This is a piece from earlier this year, Sliver of Prayer. She will succeed with valiant kindness, she wants to believe. It's how her body feels itself being alive, dancing its processes among the days and between the roads. Can a single self feel love, she wants to know? She prays at night until the long wing of morning tingles an answer, as if God herself were the shape of all mornings talking together, as if midnight unfossilized itself with the spherical love of a cell, awake on a sliver of prayer breathed from a simple, valiant mouth. That's that one. This piece I recently reworked. It's called Climb the Sky, and it was written after a hike up Hamilton Mountain near Beacon Rock. Climb the Sky. Red-tailed hawk circles the clock face of the sky, wearing her shriek as her armor. Don't be shy, friend. Braid a hurricane into the bold arrows of your wings. Yield up your hands to feathers. Set your animal eyes to robe the currents before your face. Climb the sky easy,
brave as the lash of day. Be red tail. And then I have a really small one to finish up with. It's called A Vast Tiny Poem. Just a simple poem, a breath, a moment. Tie words together like musical notes balancing on their staff. That's the map of my learning how to really be me. The method and the tale shake with the same song. A note, a breath, a vast tiny poem. Thank you.
Recently I've been looking through all these photographs that I have saved in my computer that are all labeled cover to cover, cover to cover, cover to cover, cover to cover, cover to cover. And they're all different folders and they're all labeled that. And sadly I didn't put the year like cover to cover 2008. Some of them I did, but most of the time I just saved things, took a lot of pictures, and I was reminiscing and I was feeling such joy in looking at all of these great people and all the years and sort of the way the community has grown and how we have old friends that come back and then we have friends that go away for a while and we think, wonder where they are, wonder what's going on, and then they'll come back and they'll read some of their new work. But then I also felt a real sadness because as we know, the series will continue on, but it's not continuing on in the presence of Mel's and Mark and the bookstore. And it made me really feel like I have some grief about that. And, I probably have lots of reasons why I don't deal real well with grief. But so I decided tonight I would just need to say that out loud. Because I have some sadness. I have so many wonderful memories. And one of the memories, I looked at a photograph, it was a photo of Brett Jorgensen. And I don't know if any of Brett's books are left on the shelf over there.
I don't think so. He's a hot seller.
No, it's sold out. First time I ever saw Brett at one of the readings,
There's one.
there's one left.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
It
Honest
is a
as
great,
an Am.
phenomenal book.
Great title too, Honest as an Am.
And he brought his guitar, and he was as I thought, and of course I always say everybody's a young kid, but he definitely was a young kid to me with the most incredible amount of energy. And I've never seen anybody play guitar so fast in my life and sing so fast in my life, blah, 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 blah. And I went, whoa! And then all of just the way he did it, he had this presence. And I love his presence. And then in this photograph we were at the old place, Brett was playing, and it's a photograph I took from this angle, Brett playing, and sitting on the floor, his wife and their baby, when she was an infant,
Yeah.
and now she's like,
When Eden was really.
oh, it's so incredible. And the picture is and it just brought tears to my eyes. And I thought, to watch Brett and his family and to watch his work evolve to this place. And then he puts out a book, and I thought, that is exactly, how do you articulate that? In one picture, it made sense to me, and it's what this is about. It's just about loving and joining together and doing what we do and supporting one another in a very loving, accepting, respectful, and beautiful way. And I'm honored, and I really admire the tone that you have set for that presence. Thank you. So, I wanted to read a poem that I had written for Brett quite a long time ago. And Brett is off on adventures in other lands, so I haven't seen him in a while. But he always just sit on the floor. He either stood when he played or he sat on the floor and crossed his legs. And so this is for Brett, and it's called Legs Akimbo. It starts out with a quote by Brett. I am dirty broke, beautiful, and free. Brett Jorgensen. A map of the world taped to the ceiling above the pillow guards his head in sleep. At daylight, he selects a continent. Dreams are tickets for passage. He is fresh, like tomorrow before it happens. Hears music in everything, in water moved by gravity through decrepit pipes, in gravel sprayed by fat tires on new concrete, in the clank of a shopping cart parade. He waits for the next chance to sing, claim the notes for himself, then give them away. Can't tell you the whole of your purpose or his. Is young and old, full and completely spent, dirty, broke, beautiful and free. Searches with his eyes for melodies in hardened faces. Feels the pull of magnetic north. Lets his heart play leapfrog into infinity. When continents appear misshapen, countries yellow or green in his sleep, he remains transparent and flies over cities at dawn.
Yeah, I really love that book, and there's exactly one copy left. So I hope one of you is fortunate enough to grab it. I think he stitched it, didn't he? Isn't that one of those ones where he kind of stitched it
No,
together?
that was, that might have been the first edition of that.
Yeah. And the second printing, I just went with good little staples.
This is long one.
Long arm stapler is our friend. Just a couple, not as many as I shared with you last time. Let's see here. Sorry. So on Saturday, yeah, that's what I was looking for. On Saturday, I'm going to be reading with Sharon Wood-Wortman, who some of you know, who is sometimes known as the Bridge Lady. She believes in bridges. She believes in the bridge between here and Portland and all the bridges that are there. And her husband is an engineer. And they make these fantastic books where he draws pictures of bridges and there are poems about bridges. And she takes people on bridge walks. And on her bridge walks, she brings poets. And so when you get to the top of the bridge or halfway out on the bridge, you read these things. And she and Ed, her husband's name is Ed, have been working on this book for children, for the classroom, for, I don't know, for a couple of years. It's £3, it's $50 because it's basically like a huge book for the classroom, and it's called Big and Awesome Bridges. So I was honored to be asked to be in it, so I have a poem in it and my picture's in there, and I think there's a picture of the bookstore in there as well. And so on Saturday they're going to launch the book at Portland Community College's Southeast campus. And so I thought what I would do is, what happened was I wrote a poem about bridges for the 100th birthday of the Broadway Bridge, which is an event that Sharon asked me to be a part of. And then I rewrote the poem and took out a few of the bigger words for the book. So I'm going to read you the grown-up version of the poem, because if you come on Saturday, I'm going to read the kids' version that's in the book. Poetry traverses the space between you and me, fills the chasm between me and thee. Words fit together like, lead the way from thought to action. The heart is a bridge like no other that binds souls and tears away the veil of suffering to reveal the glory of our inevitable interconnectedness. Look into my eyes. Find yourself here. We are one, then, now, forevermore. That's my bridge poem. And I wanted to show you this collection of papers here. This didn't have to do with the bridge thing, but around the time that the Poet Laureate thing happened, I had to make a collection of the poems that I could read if I was in a family-friendly setting and keep them with me in a little folder all the time. And this is how thick it is. It's about 3 double-sided pages. Yeah, I mean, there's probably more than that if I looked at, but these are, you know, recent ones that I can deal with. But yeah, most of them have things that I might get away with. So I wanted to read one of those. Oh, yeah, this one's good because the thing is, you know, I wrote this when Angelo was smaller, and now he's 14, so I can't read these poems really much anymore, but he's not here tonight, so we'll read it. And it involves his good friend Jake, who's Laurie's son, who Angelo would not have met if it wasn't for this series. They met on the first night, or the family was here on the first night that we did it in 2004. Lost Arts. Angelo and Jake are still young enough to pull back the veil to reveal holes torn in the space-time continuum. Vanishing fences, unexplained electromagnetic occurrences, ghostly shotgun blasts. When Angelo grows up, he intends to become a scientist in order to prove that there is an alternate reality, a place where the conclusions to our dreams happen the next day, follow us out of the recesses of the mind, into the hallway, into the light. And then I wanted to finish by reading one poem by Walt Whitman to say thank you to Annie for mentioning him and for loving him. And it's true about the lists, and the people who get annoyed by Whitman, I get it. I think it has something to do with the lists. This is not one of the list poems, I don't think it is, but I love his long, long lists. This is a shorter poem from a poet who has page and page and page of lists, right? It's called Poets to Come. I think it's a good one to end with for the day, right? Poets to come, orators, singers, musicians to come. Not today is to justify me and answer what I am for, but you, a new brood, native, athletic, continental, greater than before known. Arouse, for you must justify me. I myself but write 1 or 2 indicative words for the future. I but advance a moment only to wheel and hurry back in the darkness. I am a man who, sauntering along without fully stopping, turns a casual look upon you and then averts his face, leaving it to you to prove and define it, expecting the main things from you. Thank you to our guests, Annie Lighthart and Diez Willis, for their wonderful readings and their wonderful books. My partner Tony and to Mel and Mark for staying open late for us and for this wonderful bookstore. And thank you to all of you for your poetry and your energy and your time. And please join us on the 8th to say goodbye, but more than that, to celebrate this amazing bookstore and the community that exists because of it. So, all right, I'll see you next month.